This is the Smart Hashtag 5 in the Brabus edition, and today we're going to explore its capabilities in our first driving experience.
Show me you got soul. Just the way you like it. So good, so fresh. Just the way you like it. So good, so fresh. Get up on your feet, this is a shakedown.
Hey, welcome to this brand new video here at Jonos, and join us as we dive into the first driving impressions of the Smart Hashtag 5 in its Brabus edition. Don't worry, I won't dive too deep into the Brabus specifics, but this is the only model we're driving today. That's why you're getting the over 640 horsepower top-tier version of this new electric SUV, a joint effort between Germany and China showcased here today. The collaboration between Mercedes and Geely, which currently produces Smart. And it genuinely looks fantastic. It's got a lot to offer, and I was able to show it to you statically a few weeks ago. Now we can finally drive it, and I hope you can see it, because the weather is not exactly on our side. Luckily, I'm wearing a bright jacket so you can at least see me, and I'll do my best to show it to you. At 4.70 meters in length and 2.90 meters in wheelbase, Smart is showcasing a new size. And the idea behind Smart is no longer necessarily to build the most compact car, but to maximize space within the footprint. To maximize the space from the compact or mid-size platform they ultimately have. Let's see how well it works inside. Visually, I think it's been executed in a really cool and impressive way. Smart has provided a clever and innovative interpretation of a continuous light strip here. Hashtag 1 and 3 have a completely continuous strip. Here there is a line, but then below it, these elements are deeply integrated into the body, which looks really nice. It's not the most aerodynamic design, but it sure makes a strong visual impression. And I think it's really cool that they've made a deliberate choice to design the car with a more masculine, bulkier aesthetic, completely moving away from aerodynamic curves in the process. Curious what you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments. From the front, it's really well done. A red lip at the bottom with the Brabus logo, some Brabus-specific accents, and a slightly sportier appearance. And this matte gray with the black Smart lettering just suits the car perfectly. And of course, red accents. They can't be missing either. The Smart comes in a wide variety of configurations, and you really have to dig deep through all the options to finally get a clear picture. To check when you get which configuration and which specific feature it includes. For example, the Matrix LED headlights are only available in the Brabus version if you want all-wheel drive. Otherwise, they're exclusively in the premium version, which has rear-wheel drive. I understand that if you're producing in China and shipping it over here, you'd naturally want to streamline the process a bit. But small details like Matrix headlights, I'd really love to have them as an option in the Plus, Pulse, or even in the Summit trim level versions. The range starts at 50,900 euros for the large battery and goes all the way up to 60,900 euros for the Brabus model. And the only remaining options are the colors and the tow hitch. So here, by the way, is the non-Brabus version, in this case the premium version, which I was already able to show you. I'll link it for you up in the corner since I took the chance during this driving event to show you. To show the car again in a static setting. It actually could have been online a few weeks ago, but I couldn't make it to the studio appointment, so I thought I'd just show it to you here, especially when we're only able to drive the Brabus. That's the premium model up there. Back at the Brabus model, it's 1.70 meters tall, nearly matching my height of 1.73 meters. The ground clearance is 19 centimeters, and an important note for when we start driving, the German models don't have air suspension, so no air suspension system. That's available in China for the Summit Edition, the more off-road focused variant, and also for the Brabus model. And I thought when we arrived, hey, they decided we'd only drive Brabus variants, so we'd just have the air suspension and be easily swayed by the entire driving experience. And how good the suspension is. No, for Europe, there's only a steel suspension, just to mention that here. Now you've heard it. Also interesting are the 21-inch wheels here in the Brabus version. They don't look that big when you see the car. And here once more, to wrap it up, the red accents at the bottom, followed by the painted sections and this matte finish. I think it's really cool, and I already mentioned in the static impression of the premium version that there's an element here that's been additionally painted. Especially with matte, it's a challenge, and they really did a great job. In China, they somehow have cameras again, but for Europe, they're opting out of that. I really like the side view though, especially how the C-pillar stands out so prominently with the Smart logo on it. In the hashtag 1 and 3, the roof appeared to float. That's not the case here. And the red accent up top is also a bit more well, really subtle because it only wraps around the roof railing and doesn't extend across the entire roof frame or its full structural length. I prefer it this way. It's less flashy and actually quite cool. With the key, let's head to the front. I can open it wirelessly by just holding it down. I'm still not sure if that feature will also be in the app since smart systems usually include a digital key. Here you can choose between 47 or 72 liters of trunk space. Want to see the 72-liter option? There it is. Make sure to check out the premium video. The 47-liter version packs a punch, ideal for charging cables or an energy boost. All the essentials you need, just the washer fluid filler neck. I definitely prefer it to be positioned outside of this ceiling lip here. Crucially, of course, I didn't forget the topic of charging, and we were able to charge the car at over 400 kilowatts. It's also in the video, coming between the country road and highway impressions. Before we dive into the storage options, let's quickly touch on the rear. It definitely gives me a bit of a Mercedes EQB vibe. And perhaps we'll also take this opportunity to briefly discuss the competitors in the market as well. First of all, there's, of course, the Tesla Model Y, but there's also the entire MEB platform from Volkswagen. They're all around 4.70 meters, and of course, the Mercedes-Benz EQB, which is visually, especially in design, very similar. Hardly surprising as this vehicle is designed by Mercedes-Benz colleagues and they naturally remain very closely aligned with the electric models from Stuttgart. But I think it's really cool. The rear wiper is a bit small, the window's very upright, and I still haven't figured out why there's here. There's a camera up top with no digital rear view mirror, and down here you'll find a reverse camera. That's why I'm asking again. If I find out anything more, you'll hear about it later in the driving impression. In itself, it's pretty awesome because this, synchronized design approach for the taillights and headlights is truly impressive and gives it a distinct, recognizable identity. Here, the lights are also sort of integrated, and in the Brabus version, of course, you have the red accents at the bottom again. The trunk can be opened by simply pressing on it functions just like it does in the hashtag 3. And then there's a 470-liter trunk space in here. Don't let that fool you. In some media outlets, 630 liters are probably mentioned. That's a bit misleading because Smart measures the value all the way to the top. In Europe, we always measure up to the parcel shelf, that is, up to the shoulder line of the rear seats or window line, depending on the case. It comes to a total of 470 liters, with 360 liters up top and 110 liters below. And that's where I have a bit of a problem because sure, I can lift this double loading floor here and store things underneath, but I don't fully utilize it in everyday life. Why? Because I can't lay it completely flat. I mean, I can take this element here and lower it one level. Let me overlay it for you here. But in the back, there's still a part that sticks up, almost 10 centimeters high. And that means I can barely lay a suitcase flat in here. So when I'm on the road with the car, I'll probably end up packing everything up here to make full use of the trunk's depth, width, and other dimensions. I'm not sure about this area down here. Right now, there's the charging cable in here, the tire kit, and also the first aid kit. But some space is wasted here. What's cool is there's a spot where you can store the roller blind. I would prefer it if a trunk, when folded down, would offer the full flat area because like this with 360 liters up here, it's actually less than a VW ID.3, honestly. It doesn't build up very high either. If I pull this back here, there's not quite as much space as you'd probably expect. You benefit more from the smart aspects in the interior space. Well, I don't really know. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. I'm actually struggling with it a bit myself. The towing capacity is great though, because at 1.6 tons, every Smart variant, Smart #5 variant, can tow the same amount. No matter if it's the Brabus version or the smaller battery with rear-wheel drive, it's always 1.6 tons and 100 kilograms of nose weight, which is also sensible, especially for e-bikes. Now in the trunk, let's quickly mention my partner EV Supply. Feel free to check below the video. They've got clever and smart accessories for every electric car on the market. It ranges from trunk and footwell mats to charging accessories, including, for example, the energy kick or other charging cables. And there you'll find, for example, the EV Genius, a tiny adapter designed to attach to the charging cable. Then you can coil your charging cable around it. I think it's super handy. Kia, for instance, now has it on all their test drives. If the manufacturer is already using it, it's clearly worth it. And you'll get a 10% discount on the entire shop below the video. And that's not all because there are also complete winter and summer wheel sets. And you'll get free shipping included. As always though, you'll find all the details below the video. Take a look, they're doing an amazing job. I can honestly recommend EV Supply to you without any doubt. I'm now taking the roller blind in the back. Click on this, wait until it very, very slowly closes just like it opened. And we'll take a quick look at the interior and then we'll get to driving. So, welcome to the interior. Or something like this is how Smart envisions camping in the car. In China, there's a mattress for it, but not for Germany. There are a few clever modes you can set up to lie down comfortably in this particular space here. You just have to remember to take out the headrests to prepare everything as you're advised to do. And then you could theoretically sleep in here, or you do it like the Chinese. You set everything up, build a tent next to it, and pack it all up by 7 in the evening. And drives back to the hotel. Camping mode is just one of many. There's also, for example, car wash mode, rest mode, entertainment mode, pad mode, Eco Plus mode. There's really a lot to choose from. Especially with the co-driver display, it makes a lot of sense. What doesn't quite add up, though, is the new interface here. So in some aspects, it's somewhat limited. You've got a short down or a cut down menu system. There you can choose different backgrounds here. For all smart enthusiasts, there's also this classic globe and the Leo Abbot at the bottom section. Personally, though, I find the navigation view to be much more appealing overall. The only real downside is that these widgets down here always end up getting hidden as soon as you basically activate the route and start navigating along the way. I don't quite get it because they just overlay what's here, then you can pull them back up. And I'd really like it if this info down here could also slide up so I can access everything. Was it decided here not to do that? The system itself, though, is super smart. I can swipe left or right here with 3 fingers to directly pull the navigation into the driver info display or effortlessly bring it back again. Really cool, and it also works here on the passenger display, at least when you've selected something where that's possible and the feature is enabled. Swipe Spotify, right? There it is, and as the passenger, I can replay it again from here. And for that to function properly, there's an AMD processor in here, or even several, and they're water-cooled. There's really a lot of computing power behind it. The passenger display can be used while driving, and a camera here on the left monitors me as the driver. It didn't work to stop me from looking over, unfortunately. I was sitting over there in the front, could watch my own YouTube videos, could watch Apple TV+, could really do a lot in any situation. When Raina looked over, it just kept going. Yes, the cars are still at pre-production stage. Maybe that's the reason, but you brought it up here where you can drive smoothly and also enjoy watching those videos over there. The whole thing is then, I'll show you here, in the video center. It's in cooperation with a software provider, and there, under bookmarks, you'll find the various offerings from YouTube, Prime Video, Disney+, all the usual stuff is on there. You can even watch TikTok, and yes, you can move it over while stationary, but it's disabled when you're driving the car. That's why I thought it didn't work. On the right, there's another home screen with the apps, and also, for example, games. So this system really includes a lot. There's also route planning, and you can filter the charging stations as well. Here, you can, for example, specify that you only prefer certain charging speeds for your electric vehicle. And then it also plans the route accordingly, for example, from here near Porto all the way to Madrid with charging stops. You'll get there smoothly. The system handles all of that very well. I was surprised, and I have to say, I wondered why the display here isn't centered. Because when you look at it from the back, the center screen here is slightly shifted to the right. That's because if I had my hand here, I wouldn't be able to see the center display otherwise. That's why short buttons are here. Moving my hand lets me tap quickly. Everything else is just slightly shifted to the right, and in the base version, the Pro version, the co-driver display isn't included. There's just ambient lighting there. Behind the steering wheel, I have a driver info display. With all the essential info, on the left, I can navigate through it to check things like the current trip consumption and so on. Or I just bring the navigation back, though it does look oddly angular this way. Hopefully that will get fixed at some point, but you know what? Only buy a car if you like it today. And if you don't like angular lines, then this one's just not for you. Starting from the Palatinate trim, you get the AR head-up display. It displays everything clearly and directly in your field of vision. And starting from the Palatinate trim, we also have the Sennheiser sound system here with 20 speakers. It really delivers. The sound is excellent, potentially setting the benchmark in this class. I know, for example, the new Model Y also has a very good sound system, but what Sennheiser here is doing with Smart is really impressive. It's even on Dolby Atmos level. Now the sun's even coming out. Otherwise, the interior is really well done. In the Brabus version, there's carbon look here, Dynamica on the door, and a genuine Alcantara steering wheel. And once again, carbon accents everywhere. Red stitching, here's Dynamica, and exquisitely crafted seats with perforation, a Brabus logo in the headrest, and red accents all throughout the interior. What I don't like as much is all this hard plastic here. Even though you obviously don't touch it, you can already see a huge hard plastic support here. This here, it's all the same material. I don't think it's bad at all, honestly. There are definitely worse materials out there, but if you prefer softer materials elsewhere, then it's simply a different level of quality here. In some areas, like here where there's a transition from the red into the 2 different elements, you can see it's not absolutely perfect down to the last detail. Yes, these are pre-production vehicles, but very much spot on here. 2 wireless charging pads, below them 4 storage compartments, a large glove box, and also a well-designed door, plus always electric seats. Same in the front. In the back, however, only the backrest can be adjusted, not the seat cushion itself. Visually, it's designed to match the front. The only difference is on the right side, where the passenger seat controls are located, allowing you to choose whether to adjust the front or the rear settings as needed. On the left, it's purely for the design. What I find clever is the door opener. It's positioned right by the handle with an emergency release below. The seating position is really good. Even in the higher position, I'm comfortable. Well reclined and benefit from the spacious glass roof, which can easily be darkened with a shade. And a nice detail, the light up here can be adjusted a bit like in an airplane, so I can decide whether I want to be lit, the footwell, and by tapping, you can turn it off right there. I haven't seen that anywhere in a car before. ISOFIX is available on the outer seats in the back and on the front passenger seat. And there's a center console here. It also has 2 cup holders that slide out and a compartment in the lower section. Additionally, you have 60-watt charging in the back, so a USB-C port. On the outside, there's also, well, I have to admit, vehicle to load. Can you connect devices up to 3.6 kilowatts with an adapter? There are also standard USB-C ports, by the way, and a lot of space. The car could really benefit from an adjustable rear seat, just so I could save, I don't know, over 20 centimeters here. A bit of leg room, much more trunk space could be there, but it's sacrificed. So typical Chinese. I can sit here like this and still have no contact with the front seats. It's really impressive. And what I also want to emphasize again, there's ambient lighting included in the back. Here it's dynamic, and down here everything is still soft. You don't necessarily need it, but it's impressive when it's done, and even the doors are softly padded on the inside. So, in terms of material feel and overall quality, it's genuinely excellent and truly stands out within its class. Now, let's get to driving, and we'll start off with the reverse camera. It's decent enough. I've definitely seen much worse ones recently. Just think about the Renault 4, for example. The angles are also well done, and for a 360-degree image, it's really quite impressive. I hope it works now. I have another idea. If I drive straight ahead here, not in the camera, but then signal, the 360-degree camera will always show up small at the top. A feature familiar from other smart models, but incredibly practical for everyday driving. But now I've accidentally triggered the Leo. Just a heads up for navigation. I find it a bit disappointing that the time, meaning the arrival time, is only shown for the intermediate stops, and nowhere do I get some kind of overview here. I can, of course, display the entire route, then I have it there, but I don't see when I'll arrive. Maybe I can click on the destination. Nah. So, I'm still not getting a proper overview of the actual arrival time. And right now for us, where we're supposed to head to the brunch spot and there's still a specific time we need to leave from there, I honestly have no clue when I'll actually arrive. As I mentioned earlier, the car only has a steel suspension. Only? I actually think it's really good. We had good roads here today, but also some very rough patches, including cobblestone sections. The suspension absorbed much of the impact. On the cobblestones, I noticed less of the uneven surface and more of the road's gentle swaying movement instead. It had a strong lean to the side, which really demonstrates the suspension's excellent quality. I wouldn't necessarily need air suspension here to raise or lower the car again. Even in the curve, it's fine. I've stayed in comfort mode all along. There I have rear-wheel drive, and when I hit the kickdown, then those over 700 Newton meters really pull forward. And yes, there is indeed a kickdown, so I can go to the pedal position and then press down mechanically. This specific gradation was intentionally designed. Smart explained, we listened to our customers, they specifically asked for it, and so we added it. You'll also find different drive modes available here. In Sport and Brabus, all-wheel drive is continuously engaged throughout. In Sport as well, with kickdown. In Brabus, however, you have full power at all times. No matter what you do, full power is always instantly available without delay. It's actually quite a lot at times, which is why I found this blend of comfort and then being able to really push through the kickdown so enjoyable and satisfying. It truly has the performance. In comfort mode, I can also give you a better sense of how the premium rear-wheel drive variant would handle, delivering 590 kilometers WLTP. Of course, rear-wheel drive tends to be more efficient. When it's not needed, the front motor decouples and the clutch engages only at that moment. When you press the kickdown, What becomes noticeable right now in this kind of slow-moving traffic situation is the way the recuperation works. You know it from other cars, you lift off the throttle and the recuperation kicks in right away. Especially with one-pedal driving, it makes a lot of sense. Here though, I'm on the throttle, let off, coast first, and then the recuperation kicks in. And the result is that I had to be really careful earlier not to roll into the lay-on in front of us, because I don't get the braking power immediately. I keep coasting for a short moment first. Before the deceleration kicks in, you pick it up, adapt to it, and it's really not a problem at all. But it can feel a bit odd for the passengers because you think, okay, we're coasting now, and then the recuperation kicks in somewhat unexpectedly. You might get used to it and control it with the throttle, but recuperation only kicks in when you're nearly stopped. And that's just something important to mention again at this point. Of course, this is an initial driving impression here. Still, you'll get a small sense at the end of what the fuel consumption is actually like. It's currently still relatively high, but we also went from almost sea level to, well, more of a mountainous area, I believe up to 900 meters in altitude. We've climbed quite a lot today. That's why the usage at 37 kilowatt hours isn't looking great right now. The road's fun though, and the brakes. Not gripping fully, a bit of swerving, but I don't feel unsafe, just a little shaky and bumpy. The brakes also seem quite well sized from the outside. I mean, they do have Brabus written on them, as it's in collaboration with Brabus. That means the overall design is mainly developed by Mercedes and then forwarded to Brabus. Under the motto, here's the approval, you can decide now. And that's a close collaboration spanning over 20 years, and it actually works really well. Then they also know precisely how to design the vehicle and chassis. And the Brabus versions, especially the #3 and #1, were genuinely quite popular. You see a lot of them around, easily recognized by those badges and the red accents they have. And I think that'll also be true for the #5 variant, simply due to the fact that the price difference from premium at 50,900, those extra 10,000 euros aren't that huge, because we're already used to it from many manufacturers by now that you're paying an extra 10,000, 15,000 euros anyway. And then having the complete package with everything included, I find it understandable, and I believe many would opt for it. And then you just have the full performance. And the S pedal here is also really quite aggressive and unforgiving. I actually have to brake, but there was also an incline or a decline just now, leading steeply downward in my direction. Even the S pedal doesn't stand a chance here, but there are different recuperation levels you can adjust down here. On the car, drive setup, you'll find a straightforward option to adjust the intensity of recuperation right there. And I've activated the S pedal, which allows the car to gently come to a full and complete stop. So wait a moment. This is a country road, of course, nonsense, but nothing's coming here, it's pretty quiet. All the way to a full stop and done. Earlier in the city was quite different. It actually helped quite a bit there. And the visibility all around was very good as well. We have large window surfaces, upright windows. The only thing is, the C-pillar at the back is a bit larger, but it also has a window in it. So they really put in the effort here to design it in a way that it's well suited for urban areas and not just for long distance trips, because at the end of the day, it's still a smart vehicle designed for city life, which clearly aims to be much more. And before we hit the highway, let's now talk about the topic of charging. I believe some of you were waiting for this. I'll continue driving here. Now let's dive into the topic of charging, which I covered in the first look. The charging flap opens electrically toward the back, staying close to the car, which means it hardly sticks out at all. Doesn't stick out further than the mirror, and I actually think it's not bad that it's on the left, because if you're parked in the garage, there's no way to access it from the right. Then you always have space on the left, because you also need to get out of the car as the driver somehow. And we could load up directly here at the hotel. Last night was a big event here as part of a workshop where we first got a bit of an explanation about the design, then the equipment packages, and a lot more around it. All the journalists were standing there, cameras ready to film this hypercharger from Alpatronic, because it suddenly boasted an impressive 410 kilowatts of charging power, and the car can handle that peak effortlessly with its advanced 800-volt technology and the large battery. Is it possible to exceed 400 kilowatts of charging power if you have a 600 amp charger? These chargers here can actually only handle 500 amps, and when you see that, it's pretty impressive. In reality, that means the car can draw 350 kilowatts from all these chargers that are rated for 400 kilowatts. Completely sufficient, meaning you charge 40 seconds slower, and honestly, in that range, it's something you'll hardly notice at all. This pillar here is produced by a company from Augsburg called Chalet, known for installing pillars equipped with massive battery packs. Behind it, there are 900 kilowatt hours of battery storage. They're charged throughout the day, and in the evening, you can quickly charge the car to hit that peak output and, well, to show us journalists something here in Portugal. that it actually works. And how quickly did it happen? From 10 to 60% in just 9 minutes. And that's really insane. You get an average charging rate of well over 300 kilowatts. And from 10 to 80, we were done in just over 15 minutes. To be exact, it was 15 minutes and 5 seconds. Really good, actually. They even had values here of 14 minutes 40. I, as always on this channel, started timing at 10%. And then again at 80, and it's really crazy to see that it actually works. And I think we've reached a point where it doesn't make any real difference anymore. Whether I'm at 40 minutes 40 or 50 minutes 20, when you're at the 400 kilowatt charger, but only end up getting around 350 kilowatts. This car charges so quickly that you can hardly keep up. And if you have a realistic highway range of around 300 kilometers with a somewhat, well, let's say more spirited driving style, especially for the Brabus, then just 15 minutes to recharge. I don't see any issue with that. Smart itself claims the car takes around 18 minutes, likely with a bit of buffer added for practicality and real-world conditions. The infrastructure hardly has any 600 amp columns or 400 kilowatt chargers, and I think it's really cool. What do you think? Share in the comments, and we still need to discuss AC charging. The smaller battery, the 74.4 kilowatt hour version, comes standard with 11 kilowatt AC charging, and the larger battery version with 94 kilowatt hours charges standard at 22 kilowatts. AC charging remains a practical option. Even the larger battery can reach 100% in under 5 hours while charging in the city. And that's why I always think it's so important to have a charging provider that separates AC and DC like Maingau Energy, because there you have the option to charge more affordably in the city compared to on the go. It's unfair to pay the same at a 400 kilowatt station as in the city at 11 kilowatts. That's why I suggest checking out Maingau below the video. And with that, we're getting onto the highway and testing right away what the assistant can do. Here's a relatively sharp left curve. I'll trust the assistant to handle this part on its own for now. We're currently driving at 100 kilometers per hour because it's restricted here, but it's handling it really sensibly. And now, immediately followed by a right curve. I need to give a steering input to show that I'm still here. He's dancing around a bit, but he's pulling straight again now. He's handling it quite sensibly and smoothly. It's a shame, I think, that there's no capacitive steering wheel. That means I actually have to give a steering input. And here, we're drifting, way out. Oh, haha. Okay, we just got completely forced out of the right lane there. Instead of moving away, he stayed right alongside us, keeping us near the... So when the tires went over the center lane, he pulled straight into the left lane. That's not so great. I'll reset him now. I had just praised him before. I sent a bit too much premature praise here. It performed quite well overall, but naturally, you still need to stay fully attentive and avoid blindly trusting the vehicle. The assistance system handles it well. Is there a lane change assistant? Yes. It displays arrows directly in the head-up display, indicating when to change lanes. And it does it automatically again to the right? Yeah, no. Okay. You have to push through. You really have to pull the indicator all the way down for it to activate properly. And if the curve is too sharp, then it disengages. That's perfectly fine. The sign recognition works reliably, and I can use the right button on the steering wheel to directly take over the speed control. When it spots the 100, I click and it adjusts itself. That's truly impressive, and unlike the older smart models, the system now also operates within a strictly time-limited framework structure. So there was this bug once where you could practically drive for hours without any steering input. That's no longer the case. As for highway driving, I can't really say much about it. 100 kilometers per hour is our typical rural road speed, and that's what we're doing right now. He's doing a good job. You can definitely feel the bumps a bit more, especially the concrete edges and things like that. It gets transmitted to the interior. It's not super comfortable, but I think it's good. Especially here in the Brabus version, it will be interesting to see how much of a gap there is compared to the premium version, for example. Or then also compared to the Summon Edition, which is more of an off-road oriented vehicle here. Is it just as I expected with a finely tuned suspension? I also really liked the Model 3. And now, I would say, the Model 5 continues in a very sensible way. Everything is right in my line of sight. The assistance information briefly appears on the screen, then it quickly vanishes again. So really just limited to the essentials, not overly restricted. It's good, makes a solid first impression. How it will perform in Germany, like the Autobahn speed and fuel consumption values. We'll take a closer look at that later. The top speed here is 210 kilometers per hour for the Brabus and 200 kilometers per hour for all other models. So even the small battery with the rear-wheel drive can do it, and that's really good. And one more note to mention, with the rear-wheel drives, the performance isn't all that much different. 250 versus 267 kilowatt rear motor power, but their designs are entirely different. It's not just the same motor being slightly detuned, these are completely different motors. And the version equipped with the larger battery, starting from the Pulse variant, also features a noticeably more efficient and advanced drive system overall. It features a different winding setup, a completely redesigned cooling system, and that's precisely what makes it the version with the highest range available. With the cheaper variant using the LFP battery, you skip that. Just as a little addition. Almost forgot, the wind and rolling noise inside here are really remarkably quiet. Double-glazed windows and a well-insulated floor ensure you hardly notice anything inside, especially when driving at 100 kilometers per hour. And that's really impressive. It's very, very quiet inside here, and that's something worth emphasizing. Before we conclude, let's quickly touch on the topics of pricing, seating comfort, and a bit about fuel efficiency. First, pricing. Starts at 45,900 euros for the small battery, 74 kilowatt hours, 400 volt system, 11 kilowatt AC charging, and rear motor. That's also available for 5,000 euros more with the larger battery, 800 volts, and the impressive charging performance shown earlier. After that, there's the Pulse equipment version. That's the first one with a heat pump, so it's not available in the base series and not at all for the smaller battery version. Smart says if you're aiming for efficiency or longer range, you'll choose the bigger battery, so the heat pump isn't necessary in the smaller one. Let's see how that pans out in the winter, because the smaller one is an LFP battery. I'm curious to see how the heating will work there, because the battery is always cooled and heated, no matter the system, and it only benefits from the heat pump's efficiency, which makes it a bit more efficient. The seating comfort was really quite outstanding. The Brabus seats provide solid side support. As mentioned, it could be a touch better. You're familiar with it from the Cupra Born VZ, which we recently showed you. It had really intense bolsters, so much so that you almost had to drop yourself in because the side bolsters on the seat were too high. It's not quite as extreme here, but it's still sufficient. I found the lower back support good, and it also features a low-dose adjustment option. And the overall consumption during our test drive today was 27.8 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. But you can see it just from this setting here, it's going extremely up and down. We also drove a bit more sporty at times. It is a Brabus after all. It's hardly representative, in my opinion at least, but it gives you an indication. That means if you drive on mountainous routes and drive them sportily, you can still easily go over 300 kilometers with the battery. That's quite a statement. This here is the Summit Edition, the second top version, designed with a slightly more off-road oriented approach. Aside from the Brabus, the price difference isn't huge. These are the two versions that also feature Matrix headlights, for me. It was truly a good day. The car knows how to impress. I'm really positively surprised by how quiet it is, the level of comfort it offers, and even the design. And the fact that everything here is so straight ensures that the interior space has plenty of room. Now, as the sun arrives and after 2 days in Portugal, that's it for this video. I'm curious to see what you'll write in the comments under hashtag number 5 here for the Brabus version and soon also on this channel for the non-Brabus variant. If you don't want to miss it, make sure to subscribe down below, and up there you'll find my full thoughts on the premium version.